The richest man in Babylon, the richest man in Babylon. The first cure. Start the first patterning. Akkad addressed the stopful man in the second row. My good friend, what craft work though? I replied the man, I am a scribe and carve record upon the clay tablet. Even as such labor did I myself on my first coffers. Therefore, thou hast the same opportunity to build a fortune. He spoke to a forehead-faced man farther back. Pray tell us, tell also, what does thou to earn the bread? I respond this man, I am a meat butcher. I do buy the goat the farmers raise and kill them and sell the meat to the housewives and the hide to the sandal makers. Because thou dost also labor and earn, thou hast every advantage to succeed, I did possess. In this way did Akkad proceed to find out how each man labored to earn his living. When he had done questioning them, he said, Now, my student, you can see that there are many trades and labors at which men may earn coins. Which of the ways of earning is a stream of gold from which the worker does divert by his labors a portion to his own purse. Therefore, into the purse of each of you flows a stream of coin, large or small according to his ability. Is it not so? Thereupon they agreed that it was so. Then continued Akkad, if each of you desires to build for himself a fortune, is it not wise to start by utilizing the source of wealth which he already has established? To this they agreed. Then Akkad turned to the humble man who had declared himself an egg merchant. I thus select one of thy basket and put into it each morning 10 eggs, and take out from it each evening 9 eggs. What will eventually happen? I'll become in time overflowing. Why? Because each day I put in one more egg than I take out. Akkad turned to the class with a smile. Does any man here have a lean pulse? First, they looked amused, then they laughed. Lastly, they waved their pulses in jest. All right, he continued. Now I shall tell thee the first remedy. I learned to cure a lean pulse. Do exactly as I have suggested to the egg merchant. For every 10 coins thou placed within the pulse, take out for use but 9. The pulse will start to pattern and at once, and its increasing weight will feel good in the hand and bring satisfaction to the soul. Deny not what I say because of its simplicity. Truth is always simple. I told thee I would tell how I built my fortune. This was my beginning. I too carried a lean pulse and caused it because there are not within to satisfy my desires. But when I begin to take up from my pulse but 9 parts of 10 I put in, it began to pattern. So will die. Now I'll tell a strange truth, a reason for which I know not. When I increased to pay out more than 9/10 of my earning, I managed to get along just as well. I was not shorter than before. Also, along did coins come to me more easily than before. Surely it's a law of the gods that ought to him who keeps and spends not a certain part of all his earning, shall gold come more easily. Likewise, him whose purse is empty does gold avoid. Which desirest thou the most? Is it the gratification of the desire of each day, a jewel, a bit of finery, better raiment, more food, thing quickly gone and forgotten? Or is it substantial belongs, gold, land, house, merchandise, income bring investment? The coins thou takes from the purse bring the first. The coins thou leavest within it will bring the latter. This, my student, was the first cure I did discover for my lean purse, for which 10 coins I put in, to spend but 9. Debate this among yourselves. If any man prove it untrue, tell me upon the morrow when we shall meet again. The second cure, control the expenditure. Some of you members, my student, have asked me this. How can a man keep 1/10 of all he earns of his purse when all the coin he earns are not enough for his necessary expenses? So did Alcad address his students upon the second day. Asked they how many of thee carried in purses? All of us, answered the class. Yeah, though do not all earn the same. Some earn much more than others. Some have much larger families to support. Yet all purses were equally lean. Now I'll tell thee an unusual truth about men and sons of men. It's this. The part which of us call our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary. Confuse not the necessary expenses with the desires. Each of you, together with your good families, have more desire than your earnings can gratify. Therefore, are the earnings spent or gratify these desires in so far as they will go, little thou retainest many ungratified desires. All men are burdened with more desires than they can gratify. Because of my wealth thinkest thou I may gratify every desire? 'Tis a false idea. There are limits to my time. There are limits to my strength. There are limits to my distance I may travel. There are limits to what I may eat. There are limits to the jest with which I may enjoy. I say to you that just as weeds grow in a field wherever the farmer leaves a space for their roots, even so freely do desires grow in man whenever there is a possibility of their being gratified. Their desires are a multitude, and those that thou mayest gratify are but few. Study thoroughly the accustomed habit of living. Herein may be most often found certain accepted expenses that may wisely be reduced or eliminated. Let the moral be 100% of appreciated value demanded for each coin spent. Therefore, engrave upon the clay which things for which thou desires to spend. Select those that are necessary and others that are possible through the expenditure of 9/10 of the income. Cross out the rest and consider them but a few of the great multitude of desires, and must go unsatisfied and regret them not. Budget, then the necessary expenditure. Touch not the 1/10, is that fattening the purse. Let this be the great desire that is being fulfilled. Keep working with the budget. Keep adjusting it to help thee. Make it the first assistant in defending the fattening purse. Hereupon one of the students, wearing a robe of red and gold, arose and said, I am a free man. I believe that it's my right to enjoy the good things of life. Therefore, do I rebel against the slavery of a budget, which determines just how much I may spend and for what. I feel it would take much pleasure from my life, and make me little more than a peg ash to carry a burden. To him Akkad replied, Who, my friend, would determine the budget? I would make it for myself, responded the protesting one. In that case, what a pack ash to budget, his burden would he include therein jewels and rugs and heavy bars of gold? Not so. He would include hay and grain and a bag of water for the desert tray. The purpose of a budget is to help the purse to fathom. It's to assist to have the necessary, and insofar as attainable, the other desires. It's to enable thee to realize the most cherished desire by defending them from the casual wishes. Like a bright light in dark cave, the budget shore up the leak from the pulse, and enable thee to stop them and control the expenditure for the definite and gratifying purposes. This then is the second cure for the lean pulse. Budget the expenditure, and thou maybe have coins to pay for the necessary, to pay for the enjoyment and to gratify the worthwhile desire without spending more than 9/10 of the earnings.